All right, we ready to go there, Dave?
You're ready to go.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Hey, guys. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for getting up early on a Friday to get a little bit together with one another and help one another out. So as you can see there, I own Five Star Painting. I'm in business for about 7 years. We've tried to use financing probably for the last 5 years with literally, I would say, zero success for any number of reasons. But the challenging reason for most of the people was they had to pay some exorbitant percentage or interest or rate, and I had to pay a giant dealer fee, which you can argue back and forth the validity of that, but the reality is that's the system that's in place. If you don't understand what a dealer fee is, give me a buzz afterwards or look it up online. There's some great information out there what dealer fees are and why they exist. But the reality was we found that a lot of people would ask us, do you have a 0% same as cash option, which we did not. So when Chris Peralta mentioned, I'm going to guess about 3 or 4 months ago, that he has a 0% card on his presentation, my ears perked up. So we started to use that, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So this is your guy right here. He's your guru. If you don't have the BNI Connect app or don't know how to get on it, there's his contact information. I'll give you a couple of minutes to write it down. Chris is incredibly responsive. And what I'll typically do is I'll make what I call a warm introduction. If I can get Chris and the client on a conference call together, literally right there at the appointment, I'll do that. And then I'll connect both Chris and the client via email, and then basically say, hey, you guys go direct to one another, and Chris takes it from there. When we first started doing this, Chris's options of finalizing the documentation where to into his office and sign the paperwork. They were in the process of creating a digital signing app. I don't know how far down the road he is with that, but I'm hopeful that will come online because that'll actually make that process even more efficient. Obviously easier for clients, right? All right, so one of the things that you have to ask yourself is, are you going to make a straight normal sale, or are you going to make a credit sale to somebody? And a big part of that is pre-qualifying your client before going to the appointment. I'm really fortunate in that I have two marketing experts in Waco in our corporate office that basically created two really powerful demographics for us of the type of people that we want to pursue, but we still pre-qualify clients before going to their appointment. We have learned that going after some clients was a huge waste of resources. So we use these three things: Google Maps, our lead notes, and a phone call to sort of pre-qualify them before going to the appointment. And that helps us to understand whether they're aware of the cost of the type of work they're asking us to do. And that basically sets us up to be able to present to them the correct sale, meaning, is this going to be cash or credit of their own, or are we going to present them with the opportunity to get financing? So one of the things that we have learned over time was it was embarrassing actually for some clients when you brought up the idea of financing their purchase, because it basically was telling them, well, you can't afford me. So it was a really awkward discussion and a really awkward decision-making point for them, because they really are excited about their project. You're coming to them as a consultant. You're helping them understand what it's going to take. They're getting fired up because they see the possibility, and then suddenly you smack them in the face. Well, if you can't afford it, you can use this financing. And it really is like, man, it's like a bad breakup. So we approach this now from the perspective of basically being a little more self-deprecating. And I always say to them, hey, look, I said, I don't know about you, but my money tree is about this big. And I like to preserve as much of my money as possible for emergencies or other things that I might want to purchase. So I try to use other people's money to do my bigger projects, especially if I can get it for 0% same as cash. Man, people's eyes open up and their eyes perk up at that point. The biggest objection that we normally run into is, do I have to go through a qualification process? And I defer that on to Chris by basically saying, hey, you know what? I'm your contractor and painter. I'm the expert at making your home look beautiful. I'm not really sure about the process. I would love it though if you spoke with Chris. He has all of the information and he'll be able to help you out. By the way, they already know if they're going to qualify. All right. And you can sort of gauge that by the look on their face. If it's not an issue for them to qualify, they're going to be like, oh yeah, set me up with Chris. If they are already questioning their ability to qualify, you'll see it on their face. I still push them over to Chris and let Chris see if he can come up with some solution for them. I have a client right now we're getting to work on to try to help her out. So any questions about that approach? It might be a little bit odd to talk about that, but any questions about that? Okay. We price our job as normal, and I'll cover that a little bit on the next slide. So, and basically the reason you're going to do the 0% card sales process is right here. If the price is challenging or objectionable, or if customers looking for price only. And I wanted to point that out because we are never the cheapest option against our competitors ever. And we consistently say a couple of things to our clients. We know that you don't care about the quality of your paint job, and they look at you like you're kind of crazy when you say that. And the very next thing I say is, you expect an amazing and quality paint job. So we're working more from the value proposition and the relationship that we're selling these people. But sometimes people just don't care. They're looking for price only. So the price only step right there, you've got to be pretty savvy and understand that when you're talking price, now we're talking monthly payment. Okay. I don't ever want to talk, full retail price at that point. I'm going to talk about monthly payment. So, you discuss this relationship. Yeah, exactly. Especially in Sugarland. Yeah. You discuss this relationship you have with Chris Peralta. All right. That you value that relationship. You trust him because they're talking to you from a position of trust. And then you've got to just do some quick math, and divide the cost by 12 and talk about the monthly payment rather than the gross sales price. And then that card sales process goes, and to your point there, Colt, you process your card through your normal merchant services vendor, and then they deal with the payment. Are there any questions on this slide? Okay.
No.
Good deal. Here's the next one. This is how we deal with the credit card processing fee. We already know that we're going to pay about 3% for credit card processing. The big thing to keep in mind though here, and I really want to point this out, is this right here, the no dealer fee. All right. I keep hanging on that because Green Sky, Synchrony, Hearth, they all have some sort of dealer fee. Hearth had a one-time $1,800 dealer fee, but it didn't give you access to their 0% card, or loan. Hearth, Synchrony and Green Sky, they had dealer fees up to 18%. So it makes your pricing a little bit challenging. Do you pass that entire dealer fee to that particular client? And risk not landing the job because now you've made it, so highly priced and it's out of the market, or do you spread that cost across all of your clients, where it's sort of a nominal fee that you're just using your business to recoup? But it becomes complex, so that's why I love this 0% card. I know it's going to cost me 3% to use that card, but I just build it into my pricing. In Texas, it is illegal to charge that 3% after a contract is signed. I didn't know that, and I literally did this for 6 years, where somebody would say, "Oh, I'm going to pay with a card." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, we add a 3% transaction fee." I've never had a single person, including lawyers, push back on this or question it. I only had one person who has ever said anything, say, "Hey, you know that's illegal, right?" And I go, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I truly didn't at the time. It's like, no big deal, man. I'll pay it anyways. But if you are going to add the 3%, you have to build it into your pricing. What we do is we offer a cash discount of 3%, or we keep the 3%. So it just adds a little bit to your bottom line. I can't remember who it was on our last call, but they had mentioned that you need to be registered with the state. The beauty of doing this is you are not offering financing. So since you're not offering financing, you don't have to be registered with the state of Texas. It just eliminates any of the legalities, etc. And I already talked about the illegal to add the fee after the contract signed in Texas part. So that's always been a big question for a lot of people about the dealer fee and about the cost of doing this. So I hope that sort of eliminates that question. Are there any questions on that?
So, Chris,
Yes.
the dealer fee you're talking about, that's the companies that offer financing to contractors like you, right?
That is correct.
They're charging the dealer fee to you.
Yeah, and they'll sort of validate it through, well, you wouldn't be landing this job if you didn't have this financing, so we're doing you a favor. And to some degree, they're right. The other one is almost all of them now offer you a pre-designed but branded portal to a web service that allows you to get somebody qualified for financing right there on the spot. So there's a huge advantage to that. I think if you have the ability to pull your tablet out, take someone through the process of getting them, qualified and financed, and they try to eliminate the awkwardness of them not qualifying. And it goes back to that, discussion item that I had there about, hey, if you can't afford this, you can use, financing. But we did have a couple of people that didn't qualify, and man, you could have heard a pin drop in that room, at their kitchen table, when the little portal popped up and said, hey, you're not qualified, but we have these other options. I mean, it was just another punch in the face to them that, hey, you're not qualified to afford 5-star painting. So that's why I really hope that you guys are doing this first step right here, this whole pre-qualification thing, so you avoid that. But to your point, about the dealer fee, it is exorbitant in some cases, and it only goes up if their credit score is low and the loan, provider has to accept a higher risk with them.
Yeah, and also if their credit score is low, some financing companies increase the dealer fee.
That's exactly it. Yeah, Massimo, that's exactly what I'm saying is you don't know all of the ins and outs, and now you have to, change your pricing. It was a really challenging sale.
And I don't know which one, but the company that I use, once you prepare all the paperwork that you do it before knowing the credit score, then you cannot change the price because it's illegal also.
Correct.
So if your price is thinking that the dealer fee is 5% and then it results that it's 10% or 15%, you're screwed basically.
And Massimo, I don't know about you, man, but 10% is like my net profit on almost every job. So
exactly the same problem.
Yeah. So we're not getting rich, in the painting industry off paint jobs. I mean, we're making 10%, right? So, and that's probably pretty legitimate for most small businesses, as they make a net 10. Yeah. So to not know that, that's challenging. And that's why this card is amazing. So a little of the details about the card, and then of course contact Chris for more specific stuff. This card that he has basically allows people to get qualified for up to $25,000 in money, but they don't have to use all of it. All right. So they can get the card, they can get qualified for whatever amount they can get qualified for. And then let's say, they have 12 months to pay it off 0%, same as cash. And that's another point I should have brought up back here when I have to, go through a qualification process. A lot of people are savvy enough to also ask, Well, what happens if I don't pay it all off in 12 months? All the other vendors that I know of that offered a 0% same as cash, including Green Sky, Synchrony, and Hearth, they're going to charge you the full interest rate over the entire year on the entire loan amount if you don't pay it off in 12 months.
Yeah.
Chris's card, however, let's say you have $5,000, you paid off 4 and you have 1,000 remaining at the end of the 12 months. He's only going to charge you interest on that remaining $1,000. So that's a really important point to make sure your clients understand is, as part of the qualification process. Oh, by the way, this is a phenomenal opportunity for you because you're not going to get penalized if some other thing happens in your life and you can't make all the payments. This is still a good deal. So make sure that you are pointing that out. So and obviously contact Chris for more introspective information about that. So
yeah, that is a good deal, because I've done that, even where you forget
yeah,
about this
yeah.
payment, and you don't make a payment, and then you get stuck with huge interest amount.
Yeah, I mean, here's the crazy thing, man. I've got a lady right now. One, she was outside of our demographic, and quite frankly, a lot of us, you can tell when you pull into a neighborhood whether or not they're going to be in your demographic and whether or not they're going to be the type of client that you really want to sell to, because there's a lot of time and resources involved in getting to that point. So I was very skeptical about even spending time with them beyond going, hey, what's your budget? This is going to cost you $5,000. You want to move forward. But I still try to go through a lengthy discussion, create a relationship, because you never know who they know and who they might refer you to. So I got to talking to her. Sure enough, the job was around $4,700. I talked to her about Chris's card. She came back and she goes, I think we're going to go try to get this financing, but we're going to break the project up into 2 more manageable pieces for us. So that was a win for me. We're going to land a job probably around $2,000. Go in there, we're going to make a couple $100 on the job, which, is fine. And then she's going to be able to, work through this process with Chris. We've now created, a relationship built on trust and competence with her. And she's going to finish her project with whatever remaining balance she has on that card. And now we've got a client for life and a great referral. So worth it.
That's great.
So, all right, guys, that's really about it. I mean, this isn't like this giant, thing. It's simple, in fact, and that's what I love about it.
Yep. And I like how you've come to the realization after those uncomfortable conversations with people,
Right.
instead of saying, well, you can't afford this, talk to them about how they can keep their money, use somebody else's money, free money, right?
Right.
Approach it from that angle.
So that whole thing, Dave, came out of some training I had years ago. It's a concept called emotional drowning. And what you as a salesperson are trying to do is to connect with them on an emotional level and drown with them, so to speak, in that emotion, meaning, man, I know this is expensive. And if I ever want to do big projects like this, which, you're showing them it can be done, I always use someone else's money, because if I have an emergency, I want to be able to use my own money. Then you show them the solution on how to get out of the drowning. So here's your solution, right? So you've commiserated with them, you've connected with them, you've already built that confidence, through your discussion with them that they trust you. Well, by the way, here's what I do personally. So you help them understand the process through some consultation then.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
Hey, Chris, just to circle back on something to clarify that you said earlier, there is that they would have to go into Regions to sign paperwork. There is not a digital option currently that you know of.
That is correct. And I'm hoping that Chris will kind of clarify that, and I'm going to reach out and touch base with him as well. But he did say they were working on creating a digital signing process to make that easier.
When you talk to him, and I could reach out to him also, but could you find out if it's possible for us to deliver the paperwork to the client, sign it, and return it to him, or if he has to have them, face to face?
Yeah, I'll find out for you.
For me, my shtick is that I do everything for my client. My client shows up and smiles, and I take care of the rest.
Right,
and
right.
So, if possible, I would be willing to fold that into the process so that they would not have to exert their energy to go to the bank and sign all the paperwork. I could bring it to them, take care of it, return it back to him, get the approval, process the payment. And I have some clients because the majority of my clients invest multiple thousands for my services. And so,
right.
When a client unexpectedly finds themselves out of work, but they have a graduate, and so there's a time sensitivity to getting the work done, but they may not be able to, expend all of their cash.
Yeah.
And the things that you said about the emotional connection is so very true. And that's one reason that we build into our process so much time for building that relationship, because everything that I do essentially is a luxury. There is no reason why anybody would logically say, I need to go spend money on photographs. And so it is definitely a luxury. Now people value it, and so they choose to do it. But
right.
Sometimes, and I love your point about, well, why not use somebody else's money to pay for it, and you pay it off over time, versus spending all of your money on it right now. And so I think that's a great point.
Yeah. I'll find out that information, Colt, for sure. And then something to keep in mind is, like, my average job size is $3,200. So these to maybe us in the business, of owning businesses, $3,200 for us may not seem like a lot of money. But I can tell you that the day that my son called me and he said, hey, for some reason, the GI Bill that you were going to use to pay for college isn't working, and that is stroke a $22,000 check. I literally started using 0% credit cards that first year to manage paying for his college until I could solve the problem. So having the ability to demonstrate to somebody that, hey, this isn't something that is just for, the destitute. This is a solution. It's not a function of your financial capabilities. It's a way of avoiding using your own money. It's a way of affording a luxury that you might not otherwise do. It's a way of affording, doing things that potentially need to be done, but that you defer because you don't have the money readily available right now. So great point, Cole. Good job, man.
Before we start going this route, or is there something we need to get with Chris about before we start?
I just think ultimately the thing I did is I did a one-to-one with Chris after he talked about his cards, and I just, in order to understand what his process was. And quite frankly, I am like this weird antisocial loudmouth guy. Like I use humor and noise to, like, try to hide my awkward, whatever, of not wanting to interact with people. I suck horribly at socializing. And but one of the things I'm finding through BNI is the way BNI works is by having a social relationship and a close relationship with people, right? So it's taken me out of my sort of box of being uncomfortable talking to people. And Chris is just a great guy, man. He is literally the easiest dude to talk to. And I think ultimately what it does is it shows to your clients that you've got a great relationship with somebody, because again, you're selling to these guys based on trust and confidence. So that's my suggestion is, just get in touch with him and make sure that you can, connect with them.
Good point. So you're gonna follow up with Chris to see about
I am.
there are a couple things, I guess, right? One was
Yep.
online, doing it online, and then also being able to have the contractor and Colt's case, the photographer, handle the paperwork.
Yes, sir. I'll follow up on that. And then what I'll do is basically, Dave, I'll shoot. How do I get this information out to everybody, I guess is the question. Who do I?
We can talk about that. We'll have our one-to-one. Okay, Chris?
I love it. Sounds good, Dave. I
And-
look forward to it, man.
And yeah, I can tell you how to do that. And yeah, I think that's to just reinforce what you said about if you want to do this with your clients, definitely reach out to Chris and have a one-to-one with him, just so he knows you're going to be doing it and he can fill you in on all the details. And like Chris said, Chris Peralta is a great guy, good guy to have a one-on-one with. Okay.
Dave, that's all I've got, man.
Okay.
I'm not sure I stopped this sharing thing, but
I will stop the recording.